There we go. That's the disclaimer, boys and girls. And now we're gonna get started. What's up, everybody? It's Caddy with Money Investing. I hope you guys can see the screen. Let's see if we have anybody joining in. We got NIO up over 7.2%. Just wait. As soon as I'm live, we are gonna potentially see some type of a sell-off. Just wait and watch. That usually happens. You know what I mean? Right now we're seeing a bit of a pullback, which is normal, because for the first 15 minutes we've seen quite a bit of a rally here for a NIO stock. But nonetheless, a lot of stocks are actually pushing higher. We got the NASDAQ that's up, let's take a look. Up 0.5%. We got the S&P that's up just about 40 basis points, but a lot of stocks here pushing higher. If you guys can see me and hear me without any issues, just comment in the live chat. We got 6 people watching right now. I'll just wait for a few more people to join. The resistance that we actually need to break out of, it's going to be at close to $43 now. I wasn't expecting for us to see a breakout over $40, just simply based on the pieces of news that we've seen. But there we go. We are seeing a bit of a pullback here from NIO stock as well. So we'll see if we actually do retreat back to under $40 per share. That's kind of like the support that we've talked about. Is something wrong with the notifications on YouTube? All right, so welcome on board. And there we go. That's the first 5-minute candle that we're seeing on the pullback for the NIO stock. That's a pretty big 5-minute candle. Let's see if actually the 50 EMA holds up, or if we're going to see a further pullback. But yeah, thanks so much for joining in, you guys. I really appreciate it. This right here is going to be the daily chart. Marcus, what's going on? Welcome on board. And this right here is going to be the 5-minute chart. We got the 1-minute chart over here. It looks like we are somewhat validating that 21 EMA. Yes, Vinay, we'll look at Amazon as well in just a bit. Right now, I wanted to go over NIO. People sleeping in this morning. They are. I mean, I don't know if the notification actually goes out or not, but we had a very slow kind of start to like the live stream of people joining in. But nonetheless, this right here is AMC. We're still up a little bit over 14%. This is the 1-minute chart. We did see some type of a sell-off, and we're seeing that bounce off the highers or the 21 and the 50 EMA for AMC stock. And let's see if you can actually break out over $30 per share once again, right, for AMC. I know that a lot of people are going to be very interested in AMC as well. And let's take a look at some of the other stocks. So Amazon is going to be on the bottom right here, up about 60 basis points, still under 32.50. Like, look at that high for the day, 32.50 levels, like exactly at $3,250. So we are getting rejected almost exactly at that resistance that we identified in our previous videos. Apple, you'll notice that we are getting rejected at 125, so we're up only 13 basis points. We're seeing a bit of a pullback. But NIO, this is the support. Let's see if we can actually validate that, right? On the 5-minute chart, we've got the 21 EMA sitting perfectly here. The new candle just opened. Let's see if we can actually validate that middle VWAP and that support, or if we can actually break down below that level. So what's this NIO run up? So we're seeing, the delivery numbers came in. They came in lower than my expectations. They delivered 6,711 vehicles when I was expecting them to do just over 7,000 vehicles, right? So that was because of the supply chain issues, the chip shortages. That was one of the reasons why they actually didn't perform as well. But they're still maintaining their guidance for the second quarter between 21,000 and 22,000 vehicles. Couple other catalysts came on board was, what was it? They had an upgrade on the power plant, increasing their capacity, which we've already learned in our previous report. They also got an upgrade from Citigroup, which was like the most ridiculous upgrade I've ever seen. 70 cents upgrade. I think they raised it from like $57.30 to like $58.40 or something like that. It's crazy. So it looks like we are going to potentially see a breakdown for a NIO. Like, we're just holding on, right above that $41 level. That's the support that NIO validated on the 1-minute chart. So if I were to kind of zoom in, you'll notice that we are seeing that pullback. I mean, that makes sense because the first 15 minutes we saw like, NIO basically rally a little bit. So the first 15 minutes we had a huge rally. We saw massive red candle here. And right now we're seeing that middle VWAP just hold up a little bit. And that's the 1 minute candle. That's the daily chart. On the daily candle, I mean, if you can get over $43, that's the level. That's the red line you guys see. That would be very, very solid for NIO. That would be actually really, really good for NIO, because that would confirm like a really successful trend reversal. That's the trend line on the daily chart that I want you guys to watch at $43 per share, right? That's the level we'll be watching. This right here is going to be Apple. Up just about 5 basis points. Let's take a look at Tesla, up over 1%. So, all right, the 4680 is speculated to be more dense and reduces charge times by 15 minutes or 80%. Yeah, that's great news. And Model S plaid delivery event is a big deal. I did remember him pushing it a week to June 10th. So you're right. And he basically said, I think it was like a spaceship that the company looks like. So that was very interesting as well. But a lot of stocks are actually green. I actually put out a video over the weekend. There's a lot of updates coming out on a more macro level this week and going into next week. We got the CPI numbers coming out. We got the unemployment numbers. We got the Federal Chair Jerome Powell speaking. We got the Beige Book being posted today at 2 p.m. So there's a lot of things that are coming out. AMD is actually up over 2% as well. So Advanced Micro Devices, I put out an update on them. They actually have Tesla as a customer now. So AMD is going to be putting out those chips on Tesla's Model S and Model X moving forward. There we go. That's the seller that we're seeing for NIO on the 1 minute chart, barely holding up on the 5 minute. I think we're gonna see a breakdown below $41 successfully to potentially retest lows of $40.50. This right here is gonna be the daily chart. We are seeing that breakout over the moving averages, the 21, the 50, and the 200 simple moving average. But it's just a question of whether we're gonna hold up or we're gonna form some type of a sort of like a gravestone candle that Palantir formed, right? It was very, very interesting candles. So this right here was the gravestone candle for Palantir as well, right? Huge, massive wick, even though it was up a little bit over 8% on the day, and then sold off towards the end of the day. So, all right, going back up to NIO, and let's take a look at some of these comments. So, do you think Apple will hit 122? So Apple, right now at 124, the way it's going right now, making lower lows, it wouldn't be surprising if it does get down to 122. Like my buy target is at 118. If it comes down to 118, I'll be buying more shares. But again, Apple, the Epic versus Apple also concluded. We're not going to find out more about it until like August or September. It's going to be a few months until we actually get some more updates on that. All right, let's take a look at the stocks that are actually red. So we got Twitter that's down. Nvidia is actually red a little bit over 1%. It did hit a new all-time high, I think over 650. It's down just about 1% right now. Plug Power is down. Twilio is down. We got DraftKings is down a little bit over 1.3%. NeoPass at $40. What resistance will be next? So this is the daily chart. You'll notice that right now we're almost testing. Actually, let me see if I can make that. I'll just open it up on a different chart. All right, so let's just open it on here. So this is the daily chart for NIO, and I just want to quickly go over. We are seeing that breakout. You're right. So we're seeing that breakout over that overhead supply of $40 per share. We're still inside this range, right? We're still inside that red rectangle. The next level that I really want you guys to watch is going to be this level right here at 43.22. Very quick mention on this resistance, like coming in from April 1st. We tested highs of $42 and then we got rejected. So if I were to kind of extend this, high was 41.51 today. So there's going to be two levels. Basically, like anything inside that red, rectangle you guys see is overhead supply between 40 and 43.30. Those are like the levels to watch. Like right now, we're like in this, range where we need to see a successful breakout over to fully change the have a trend reversal for NIO. So let's see if we can actually break out over that wall. I mean, I was personally not expecting NIO to be up over 6% on this news, on the delivery numbers that they reported this morning, only because they came in lower than my own expectations and they were down 5% month over month. But of course, the market is pricing it in a different way. They also got an upgrade this morning as well from Citi. But nonetheless, that right there is going to be the resistance to watch in the near term. Like anything inside this red rectangle you guys see at close to 42 all the way to $43. are going to be the levels to watch. And once we can break out over this previous high, then we are actually starting to make a new higher high, so to speak, right? So we can actually form some type of an uptrending pattern. All right, so yeah, I want to secure some profits in case of a big rejection, so that's good. Yeah, have a trailing stop loss if you're trading this. NIO for me is more of a longer term investment, so I'm not going to be trading this stock, but just happy about the breakout today, and let's see if we can actually hold up above those levels. But Apple is definitely sliding a little bit longer. Let's take a look at AMC. So AMC is seeing that rebound a little bit, up almost 19%. We did sell off to lows of $20.84. We're back over $31 per share. So we're definitely seeing a bit of a rally here above the moving averages once again. The high for the day is exactly at $32 per share. So that's the high for the day. And of course, the all-time high sits at $36, almost $37 per share. So I feel like we need 1 to 2 weeks of consolidation around 42 before we can pass that selling pressure. It will simply reject. Yeah, I mean, there might be some more consolidation. The good thing is that we are trading above our moving averages, right? So that's the bottom line here, that we saw breakout over the moving averages, the 21, the 50, and the 200 simple moving average. So that's good. That's step number 1 to making some type of progress for the NIO stock. Now, let's take a look at Tesla here as well, just on the 1 minute chart. So we're bouncing off that moving average, the 50 exponential moving average here, and trading just over 630, right? The resistance for Tesla at 650, support at 620, right? We came down to as low as 624, bounce off that lows of $620 before pushing higher. So what do you guys think? Are we going to see a breakout for NIO over $42 per share today? What do you guys think? I do have my alerts set up, but let me know in the live chat if you guys think we're going to see a breakout over $42 per share for NIO on the day. That would be very interesting. We were up a little bit over 7% on the day, and right now we are kind of retreated up just about 6.5%. So let's take a look at other stocks that are red. So we've got Apple, which is down, Facebook is down, Nvidia, pretty much flat on the day. So nothing really is moving all that much. I mean, the most red we've seen right now is for Lemonade, that's down a little bit over 2%. What time does the Fed speak? So they actually speak, so Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is actually speaking on Friday. Actually, let me bring up the calendar once again, just so we have a good understanding of that. So I'll move that over here. I actually want to see if I do have the calendar on here or not. Maybe I don't. Let me see if this is it. No, that's not it. So this is the delivery number for NIO. So they, again, did 6,711 vehicles delivered, which was a 95% jump year over year, but a 5% decline month over month. And not to mention that we are, so again, adversely impacted for several days due to the volatility of semiconductor supply and certain logistical adjustments. So that right there is the delivery update very quickly. And this is the calendar for the calendar that I actually created. So, today we have the beige book at 2 p.m. Eastern. We got the API crude oil stock. I still need to kind of look into the MBA mortgage applications and what that report looked like. But Thursday, we've got the ADP non-farm payroll employment. So not tomorrow. Actually, this is Wednesday. This is not today. Scratch that. Today is June 1st. Yeah, today is June 1st. So this is Tuesday. I don't know why I keep thinking it's a different, shorter week. So tomorrow we've got the MBA mortgage applications, the beige book, and the crude oil stock. And then on Thursday, we've got the ADP non-farm employment, initial jobless claims, crude oil inventories. And then Friday, we actually have Federal Chair Jerome Powell speaking at 7 a.m. We've got the non-farm payrolls. That's the unemployment report. And the unemployment rate, which is currently at 6.1%. We're going to learn more about that, the average hourly earnings as well. I want to be very clear, like until September, I would not be surprised if we kind of linger on with the average hourly earnings either going up or sideways, and the unemployment rate also basically staying up there. Once these unemployment benefits basically expire past September, that's when I really see the unemployment report get better, so the rate coming down and the average hourly earnings also potentially coming down, in my opinion, as the labor market gets more and more competitive, as people go back to finding jobs and go back into the workforce. So that's when I see most of the reflection moving forward. So again, we've got the CPI numbers on Thursday, June 10. That's going to be the inflation numbers. and of course that's going to affect a lot of the entire market. That's kind of like the big question mark for 2021 that we're going to see. And then of course, and then Tuesday we got the producer price index. It's going to be June 15th, and the FOMC meeting also starts on that day. And then on Wednesday, June 16th, we've got Jerome Powell will be speaking about the interest rate. They'll decide whether to hike interest rates or not. If so, when, and what that's going to look like in the future as well. All right, so Tesla's up over 1% almost, trading back over $631. NIO is still fighting that resistance. At close to $41. So you'll notice that we are just getting rejected at this 41.50 level. So we are inside the red rectangle, but we're still seeing that push higher. So yes, busy month, great info, thanks Josh. Yeah, so we've covered that in a separate video in a lot more detail. That was like a quick rundown, so you're more than welcome to watch that as well. We go over 5 basic things. So 5 things to watch in June 2021: housing, inflation, unemployment, interest rates, and oil. So oil inventories are also going to be reported. So all that is going to be reported. Tuang, China's new third child policy. I read that on Bloomberg. That was pretty interesting. That was basically on the headline that they are worried about economic prosperity in the future. That was pretty interesting. I wonder, I wish there was a way to control the population in India as well in the future. So NIO coming down, no doubt. We're only up about 6%, under $41 per share. This right here is going to be Tesla following along, and we're seeing that move to the downside, up only 71 basis points. So Alibaba, could you take a look at Chewy if you haven't done already? Yes, I will take a look at that for sure for you in just a second. So NIO might face a weak hand profit takers. That's true. I mean, that's the overhead supply that we're talking about, right? That's the overhead supply for both NIO and Tesla. It's kind of like a sad truth, but we are going to see some supply and some rejection there. And that's the same thing for Tesla as well, right? Even if you do push up higher, there is going to be some overhead supply at those levels, because when you look at those cost concentrations, you know exactly where people are sitting. Like, the cost for NIO and Tesla investors, and it makes perfect sense why people would want to basically sell for a break even, small profit, or a small loss after months of holding, and basically it's the stock not doing anything, right? So unfortunately, with the sell-off that we saw for both Tesla and NIO, right as we see those recoveries, a lot of people basically decided to sell because they're not in it for the long term, which is okay, which is completely fine. Different strategies, different types of trades that you can make, but that's one of the reasons why we are potentially going to still see some rejection and the pattern basically rolling over. All right, why am I in India? I am in India because I moved back. I moved back from the United States. I was in Boston for about a couple of years working, and then I just moved back. So, all right, Alibaba, we actually called out. I don't know if it's still up, but I definitely was 225 was my price target, so we're up a little bit over 3% right now. But this right here was the trade analysis that I posted on our Patreon last week on Friday. Our entry was at 212, and this right here was a complete trade plan. So we risked about a 1%. The stop loss was below 210, and the profit target was at 225. So pre-market, we were actually hitting that exact resistance. So this right here is the 4-hour chart, and I know that a lot of people actually closed their trades on it. Some of them had calls, some of them actually bought shares, and we hit highs of 225.40 pre-market, and right now we're up still 3%, but that right there was a complete trade plan on Alibaba. So I'll be posting more of these in the future. I know there's going to be opportunities in the market to swing trade, so I'll definitely be posting those. If you guys want to, again, get access to that, the link to the Patreon is going to be down in the description. So, all right, let's take a look. So that's crazy, bro. I live in Boston. You do? That's awesome. That's great. We're in Boston. I was in Malden. I was in Malden. I was in Wellesley first, and I moved to Malden for a little bit. All right, so let's take a look at NIO again, and we're going to split screen once again to see where we're trading. So we're going to go over to the 1-minute chart. We're holding up. I mean, if you look at the 21 and the middle VWAP, we're kind of holding up. It's just a matter of whether we see that, breakout over that resistance or not, right? 41.50 is a level. And, if you were to kind of do some very simple technical analysis on the 1 minute, we're forming some type of a symmetrical triangle here. And as NIO kind of continues to fill in this channel, coming from a prior run-up, the probability for us to see a breakout is higher, but, anything can happen with the markets. With the NASDAQ and the S&P, we can roll over, and we can see that pull back as well. So What are you in at Cass? What are you in? Sam, can you repeat that question? What are you asking? All right, so how old am I? So I'm 24. I'll be turning 25 in later this year. So yeah, spent about 5 years in the US before moving back. All right, so what stocks are we looking at, guys? What stocks should we look at? So we got, so AMC's up over 16% here. Back over $30. We're seeing kind of like this back and forth movement from AMC as well. Let's take a look at Chewy for the Pindra. So we're gonna open up a new chart actually, and we're gonna go over to, let's take a look. Let's just go over to, all right, chart number 2, and we're gonna open up another one for cryptos. All right, crypto analysis. So yeah, we'll actually create some alerts for NIO below 40.82, and we'll also create one above 41.39 to see which way we actually do break out, right? And the 5 minutes is barely holding up, so you know my guess is that we're gonna break to the downside below the middle VWAP, below $40.83. But you know it's gonna be interesting if you break to the upside. All right, let's take a look at CHWY. So this right here is actually going to be the daily candle, right? So we're still struggling at those moving averages, the 21 and the 50 EMA you guys see. You'll notice that we had some type of a sell-off. So right here, coming in from highs of 120, we sold off to lows of 76. That's a pretty steep drop of 37%. Then we started forming some type of a bear flag over here. And then you'll notice that we sold off even further, right? So boom. It was kind of like this movement where you see stocks basically sell off, go sideways, form a bear flag, consolidation, and then sell off or break down even further. So that's what we saw with the Chewy, and right now we're seeing some type of a recovery back. Now the support and the resistance levels to watch, at least in the short term, of course there's a resistance here, previous support acting as a resistance. That's going to be sitting at roughly, I want to say $76 to $77, kind of aligned with that 50 EMA, so the yellow line you guys see on the chart, and the support will be almost exactly at where we bounced off on the day here. So it's going to be at $65 per share. So it'll be range bound, but until we see that breakout over that 50 EMA at $77.50, $77.60 per share, that's going to be the most important level to watch, right? A breakout over that level is going to put us over the moving averages. That's step number 1. Step number 2 would be breaking out over the previous high, which in Chewy's case is going to be at $88 per share. Then we can worry about this resistance right here to a successful breakout. So in a perfect world, in a trend reversal for Chewy, what you want to see is you want to see some more upside. So potentially a breakout over the 50 EMA, come back down to retest and validate that 50 exponential moving average or the 21 EMA. So those two moving averages you see, and then a breakout over that $88, come back down, validate that, and then start making progress to the upside, right? That's going to be the uptrending channel to watch for Chewy moving forward. All right, so let's go back over to this. We're seeing a little bit of a breakdown to the downside for NIO. This right is going to be AMC, so we're seeing a bit of a sell-off here as well. So on the 1 minute chart, you'll notice that we also formed some type of an inverted hammer candle here, right, at 28.84 before the volume kicked in and we pushed up higher. I bet my kidney that NIO is going to fall before the end of the day. That is exactly, why I didn't want to come live. Because every time I come live, it's usually the opposite. Every time I am live, either market sells off and then I go to bed and I wake up to a green market. And that's happened like time and time again. And that's why like NIO was pushing higher. And if you go back to the live stream, it's been 23 minutes. We were like right there. As soon as I came live, like boom, we're just going sideways. And that's understandable because we did push up for the first 15 minutes. Like NIO rallied from lows of 39.95, to lows of well over $41 per share. So we're seeing that 4% move, and now we're just going sideways. The only thing that I don't want to see is that this daily candle turn into a red candle. So we could be up on the day. NIO could still have a green day, but it could have intraday selling, meaning that it could have a red candle on the day. That would be kind of not so good for NIO in my opinion. All right, so let's take a look at some of the other stocks here. So Harry says weakness in NDX coming through could get shaky. So one of the things that I really wanted to point out in my other videos that I did was actually let me go over to this chart. we actually broke down, a lot of different things over the weekend. I put out a market warning, not so much to like, something that we can consider moving forward. Only an observation that I'm making for these stocks. So this right here was SPX, and if you go over to the monthly chart, I wanted to address on the idea on this hanging man candle, meaning that we're definitely seeing this candle that's being formed at the same time when the RSI, the relative strength index, is at overbought level, right? Well over 74 on the monthly chart. This is not the daily, this is not the weekly, this is the monthly chart for the S&P 500. And for the past 4 times, you'll notice every time the S&P has hit overbought levels, we have pulled back, right? We have seen corrections, 10%, 20%, 35%, 15%. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see one. It's just an observation, right? I'm most certainly not deploying any cash in the S&P 500 stocks here because the risk reward is obviously not in our favor just yet. It was great over here. It was perfect over here. It was perfect over here. Right now, it's just a little bit skewed, right? We can all agree that it's very, very overbought at the moment. While at the same time, if you look at VIX, which is going to be the volatility on the S&P 500, this is the analysis that we did on the weekly, actually on the daily chart. So this was the analysis from my previous video. So you'll notice that we are coming down, retesting that support. So there we go. We're seeing that breakdown below for NIO, below $40.82. So we're seeing that breakdown from that symmetrical triangle here that we pointed out on the 1 minute chart. So breaking down below the moving averages, now under $41, up just over 5%. But let's see where we find that support intraday. Could be at the 50 EMA sitting at $40.24 on the 5 minute chart. We'll see if that actually happens. But this is the VIX, right? And again, I pointed out that we need to be very mindful. Would not be surprised if you see that volatility spike once again, especially with all the macro stuff that's coming out in the markets, this month in June 2021. So, all right, is NDX collapsing? All right, let me take a look. Harry, you're scaring me right now. All right, let's take a look. So NASDAQ, XIC. So we are basically flat on the day. So we were up over 30 basis points. Let's take a look at the 1 minute chart. So there we go. We are pulling back, right? So it's time to be very cautious. I would be very cautious in these markets, and that's why I put out that market warning. Because again, regardless of where inflation is, regardless of what happens with interest rate, the market is always going to try to scare people. That's the nature of the market. That's the nature of the media, and that's why we're seeing. Why is he with 2x speed? Am I? I should not be. Like, are you watching me in 2x speed right now? I should not be because live streams should not be like that. Fed's gonna crash always. But this right here again is gonna be the QQQ index. Let's go over to that. Ooh, that is a steep sell-off. So we're now in the red. And let's take a look at and that's the VIX, right? That's the VIX that we talked about. So let's take a look at the SPY. So yeah, there we go. So we're forming a red candle on a green day. This is exactly what I talked about earlier. Is you can have a green day, but you can have a red candle. So if I were to check this box off, this is the box that I have unchecked. If I check it off, all these candles will turn green. But why I turned this unchecked is I'm more interested in learning about the intraday price action on these indexes versus where they close. I can simply look at this and tell you guys if they close red or green, but I'm more interested in this intraday, which is a lot of weakness right now from the looks of it. So definitely, I mean, we're seeing, look at that. Look at this sell-off. Boy, and NIO definitely coming down, no surprises because of the sell-off that we're seeing. AMC holding up, AMD coming down, we've got Corsair coming down, NIO coming down. Good thing I didn't put like a, I might have to change the, if NIO goes red, I might have to change the thumbnail on the live stream here. Hopefully, I mean, from 5% sell-off all the way down here, that's a lot of profit taking. That's a lot of profit taking for NIO. But we'll see. We'll see where we close out the day, but we're definitely seeing volume spikes here. Let me bring out the volume here for the SPY. So yeah, not so much in the SPY, but like in the Qs, look at the volume. This is the most shares traded since the open. And how many shares is that? So that's 422,000, 425,000 shares traded. That's the most since the open. NIO won't hold up if NDX and Tesla come down. That's true. I mean, it won't. it won't hold up. I mean, it still might close green, but only by like maybe like a couple percentage points if we come down even further for the Qs. I mean, we're already down 0.5%, and this accelerated rather quickly, and SPY is pretty much flat on the day. So let's take a look at some of the stocks here. So now a lot of stocks have actually turned red. Nvidia is now down almost 2%. We got Lemonade that's down over 3.8%. We've got Apple that's down almost 33 basis points. Let me actually refresh this so we have a good breakdown. All right, so let's go from bottom to up. So Grow Generation down over 4%. Upstart is down over 4% as well. I see somebody was talking about Upstart in the live chat. Has been a beast lately, but a roller coaster ride. Yeah, I mean, it's down a little bit over 4% right now. Plug Power down about 2.5%. DraftKings 2%. Palantir almost 2%. So Palantir we also covered forming a gravestone candle on Friday, which was very surprising because we pushed up to over 7-8% gain after a $111 million contract, and then a lot of sellers came in. Same situation with the overhead supply. It's not a surprise that we saw a lot of profit taking for that stock as well. But nonetheless, we are down about 2% today, back under $23. It's kind of funny how Nvidia and Tesla are trading almost at the same price levels, at close to $630 per share. It's crazy. So DJ asks, bro, are we dead? I see Nasdaq will crash. You know, I put out that warning for a reason. I don't want to. It's not a crash. It won't be a crash. In my strong opinion, it will still just be like a repeat of what we saw like in March, or maybe like in, what was it? So we saw a correction in March. We saw April being a really strong month. Historically, it's been one of the stronger months. And then May we saw some type of weakness as well. But this is the calendar. This is the calendar. This is like our Bible that we need to understand like on a more macro level, and keep a close eye on the VIX. Right, volatility is going to be a huge tell on where we are. So right now we are seeing that spike of over 7.8%. This is the analysis from the weekend, and watch it at close to 20 levels and to as high as 30 levels. Right, these are the two levels I want you guys to watch. The first one is going to be at 20. The second one is going to be close to at 30 levels. Right, those are the two resistance levels, and once we get up to those levels, it'll be a much better risk reward trade-off between the S&P 500. When you take a look at the VXM, which is going to be the volatility on the Nasdaq, you'll notice that we are a very similar pattern, right? Almost identical pattern to the VIX. Why? Because we had a support here for the VXM. This is at close to 25, and then we broke it down. We formed a new support at close to 20 levels here. So let me point that out. So it's gonna be over here. And right now we are seeing that, sell off over here, and then we saw that spike, and this right here is another sort of sell off, and right now we're seeing a bit of a spike up over 5.4%. So that is one of the reasons why we could be seeing a little bit of a pullback here. For the broader markets, Nasdaq more specifically, because of inflation fears and interest rates. Those two things affect growth stocks more than they do the S&P 500. I bet you guys Dow Jones is probably up on the day. I think Dow Jones ETF is going to be, so iShares Dow Jones US ETF. So we're pretty much flat on the day. Is this the right one? DIA. All right, so Dow Jones ETF is up 28 basis points on the day, right? So that right there is going to be the 1 minute chart for the Dow Jones. Li Auto, all right, let's go over to Li Auto in just a second here. Just going to bring up the VWAPs very quickly. All right. All right, let's follow up on NIO. So we're still holding up. So that, we saw a breakdown below a symmetrical triangle. We pushed back up, got rejected by those moving averages, and we're seeing that pull back once again. Now NIO is trading below the middle VWAP and the 21 EMA. Not something that I wanted to see, but here we are. 10-year yields up over 3.6%, and the VIX is up over 6.8%. Tesla, or AMC, is up 13%, so we're still holding above just under $30 per share. And let's take a look at Tesla very quickly. We are up over 8 basis points, pretty much flat on the day. All right, so I'm going to actually consolidate this chart which is my Li Auto analysis, I think is on this one. So Li Auto has actually been on the move, right? It has been on the move. It's funny because I put out a video on this stock, I think a couple of weeks ago prior to the earnings, and nobody watched it. We had like 1,000 people watch it, and this stock has rallied over 52%. But the good thing is that we're trading above the moving averages now, right? We're trading above the moving averages. They're also going to be announcing a newer model. They actually did announce a new model, which is going to be at a higher price, but they're going to be offering a subsidy to their Li 1 users. So that's that. And I think they had a couple more catalysts that we broke down in that video, which resulted in the earnings actually being stronger. They actually did miss on the bottom line with a net loss, but revenues came in stronger. Future guidance was also good. $27 is going to be the next resistance to watch, and $21 is going to be a near-term support. The good thing for Li Auto could be if we do see some type of a pullback and validate those moving averages and that support. So in fact, I'll actually go ahead and turn this level 2 as a support. So there's going to be 2 of them, $21 all the way as low as $18.50. 2 support levels. If Li Auto can validate that, then we can make the next leg up higher for Li Auto as well. But it's certainly looking like potentially a trend reversal as we break out of this downtrending channel, right? So in the past, you'll notice that we have consistently just traded inside this downtrending channel, right? So this right here was a downtrending channel for Li Auto, and then right now we're seeing a bit of a breakout to the upside, right? So that's a good sign. It's just that in order for us to make progress, we need to come back down to kind of validate that support and then make the next leg up higher for Li Auto, and $27 is going to be the next resistance. All right, so QQQ is somebody saying that wow. Yeah, wow is right. We're down about 40 basis points. SPY is pretty much flat, and Dow Jones is actually still green, up 23 basis points. And this is not a surprise. I think after June 15th, like next couple weeks, June 15th, like mark that date, that's going to be when the market is going to have a lot of clarity, and we're going to have a lot of visibility into interest rate decision. That's going to be from the FOMC, Jerome Powell, and other Fed officials. We're going to have some more clarity on inflation, the unemployment rate, and the labor market, the situation of the housing market, which is also very volatile, I should say, right now, with the prices continuing to push up higher. We're going to get those building permits, housing starts, all those reports give us a good understanding of the U.S. economy as well. And then after that, as the market has more clarity, then I can see some type of rebound. But again, till then, I would not be surprised if we see some more pullbacks on another round of these inflation fears from the market and from the media and so on and so forth, where we know that the base effects are not going to be great. They're not going to be good when you compare that with April, May, June of 2020. And inflation was non-existent. In fact, it was actually down because nobody was spending money. But we have to compare it from decade over decade, and even for the last 5 years, 6 years, and where we are and where we can be moving forward. All right, so let's take a look at AMD. So AMD definitely is it breaking out? So looking good, up over 2%. So they actually announced their partnership with not partnership, but they scored Tesla as a customer, and for Model S and X, they're going to be providing the chips, the graphics chips for them. And and they also had their Computex 2021 event over the weekend, which I also broke down in one of my previous videos. You guys are more than welcome to watch that too, where they released like new gaming and new automotive and new 3D chiplets moving forward, right? And we also learned how they gained percentage points in market share from Intel in the server data center space and that sector. So my long-term thesis in AMD is actually more bullish than it was, despite all the sell-out that we're seeing. Price target well over $110. So it's going to take some time, but we have to be patient for AMD. In my strong opinion, we'll get there. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when we get there for AMD. All right, so what other stocks? Let's take a look. So 2020 was looking shaky so far. More so towards the second half of the year is when I actually do see NASDAQ pushing higher. I actually posted this chart. By the way, you guys can, if you guys want to get some ideas on here too, I don't post it that often, but I do post sometimes. This was kind of like the analysis I posted on May 27th, 2027. So this is the relative performance chart that we broke down in our previous videos, right? This was the complete analysis. I basically said, this chart is a clear breakdown of the performance of the NASDAQ relative to the performance of the S&P 500. So in simple terms, if this is going up, Nasdaq outperforms the S&P. If this thing goes down, the S&P outperforms the Nasdaq. And historically, coming in from 2012, you can actually even go back. You'll notice that in the past, we've seen periods of time where growth stocks and Nasdaq underperform the S&P 500. It's just a risk-off moment. Instead of Nasdaq underperformance, I can simply put in risk-off moment in the markets where people don't want to invest in growth and they don't want to invest in tech. That's just the nature of the market, and that's only coming in because of rate hikes, inflation fears, so on and so forth. But time and time again, you'll notice that people have once again, flowed back into tech and growth only because that's what's driving the future. The value plays are great for the short term, but I think longer term, tech and growth are still going to win out, in my opinion. And I love to hear from you guys too. Like, what do you guys think about that? All right, so let's go back over to our 1 minute chart here. Let's see where NIO is. So NIO is up over 5.6%. We got Tesla's that's up over 36 basis points, just under $630. Let's take a look at AMC here. So AMC is up 11.4%, still doing pretty good, just shy of $30 per share. And NIO is over here. So, all right, market update here. Getting a little bit of a bounce higher for the Nasdaq. The SPY is now starting to go flat. Dow Jones is pulling back a little bit more. All right, so yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, if there's any other stocks that we can go over. Probably it's going to be a shorter live stream today because there's not really much to go over. I'm more packed for the rest of the week as more and more macro stuff comes out. So I promise, like, live streams tomorrow going into Thursday and next week and the following week are going to be much, much longer. Like, we're going to spend a lot of time going over some of the details of the inflation report, unemployment, everything that comes out. Super excited about that. Like this, macroeconomics is a subject that I took in school. Super, super interesting. Highly encourage you guys to check it out. Goes over, so many different things that kind of makes up the economy. I watched a video from Ray Dalio. It was like, about how an economy works. It's an animated video. Highly encourage you guys to watch that as well. All right, so let's take a look at DraftKings very quickly. DraftKings I'm long-term bullish on. It's just that, again, with the gambling situation and how quickly that gets resolved and passed through, we could potentially see some weakness from DraftKings as well. It's actually on a different chart, so let me pull that up. So DraftKings is going to be on this chart. All right, DKNG. So DraftKings, yep, so we did have a breakdown below the head and shoulders pattern. We came down to $41, $45, two support levels. We did push up to highs of almost 55 or 52. The high for this candle on May 28th was $51.92, and we're seeing that rejection from that 50 exponential moving average. So this is the support at $45. Are we going to see a pullback down to that level? Really depends on where the Nasdaq and the S&P trade remainder of this week going into next week. So $45 support level all the way as low as $41. Two support levels to watch, and then $52 is going to be the resistance to watch for DraftKings moving forward. But long term, I still believe that this is a good deal for the company. It's not the best buying opportunity, but it's a good deal for DraftKings. All right, so let's go over to the 1 minute here. Yes, How the Economic Machine Works by Ray Dalio. Vishal, that's right. That's the video. Highly encourage you guys to watch. It's great. I love that video. And the way he explains things in simple terms is just so good, right? He talks about bond demand. He talks about the US dollar. He talks about inflation, a lot of other things. It's just great. Love talking about economics more so than finance. Yes, Rita, welcome. NIO is pushing higher. Prices are set by OPEC. Yes. So, I mean, it really depends on supply of those 15 member countries and, what they actually produce and how much supply they hold off. So that's what's going to be. And of course, I mean, it also depends on crude oil inventories, right? If there's higher demand, then then yeah, I mean, they can hold off supply by increasing the prices a little bit longer. All right, so let's take a look at Airbnb because we haven't looked at that stock for a while. But look at that, NIO is definitely seeing a bit of a push higher once again. We're up over almost 6.5%. If NIO breaks out over $43 per share, we won't. If NIO breaks out over $42, maybe we won't end the live stream early. All right, let's see if we can actually break out over $42. That's gonna be a push for NIO of another 2% from these current levels. Let's see if we can actually make that happen. Good volume for NIO bodes well. So yeah, let's take a look at the volume, Harry. That's a great point. I didn't even notice that. So volume at 34.6 million versus 55.7. So we're almost there. 1 hour into the open, and we're more than 50% of our way there. Probably my estimate is close to about 70 to 75 million share volume day, and we're probably halfway there. Because the volume does die down a little bit during lunchtime, so like between noon until like 2:30, 3 p.m. and then towards the last hour into the close, the volume picks up once again. All right, let's take a look at Airbnb here very quickly. So Airbnb, I think this is a stock that's been selling off aggressively. I think this is the analysis on this chart I want to quickly go over. So we're gonna go over to the daily chart. Let's see if you have any analysis on here. So, all right, so we broke down below the descending triangle. Right now we're getting rejected at that moving average, the 21 EMA 145, supports it's at 130. So that is the level to watch as a resistance at close to $145 for Airbnb. This is a reopening play, but they also basically announced that they're not gonna allow any more parties in the summer if you're using an Airbnb, which was, all right, so this right here, Airbnb extends ban on parties through end of summer, which is obviously a big revenue driver for the company as well, because a lot of people do get Airbnbs to throw parties, which is strange, but this comes in increasing vaccination rates and easing travel restrictions in parts of the world are expected to boost travel demand in the summer months. So it really depends on what their bookings look like, what their revenues look like moving forward as well. But $145 is going to be the resistance to watch. Let's see if we can actually get a breakout over this level. But the RSI and the MACD do suggest that we could see some type of a breakout if the volume actually picks up as well. So we're only at 4 million right now on an average 11 million shares traded. So heavy volume breakout, could we see like a $150 retest moving forward as well. All right, so back to our charts. Let's take a look at where some of the other stocks are also trading. I want to go over some cryptos too very quickly. All right, so this right here is going to be the crypto chart. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum very quickly. So we're down 1% for Bitcoin, still trading in between this range, so to speak. So 36,000, close to 30,000. Actually, you know what? I want to play a very, very interesting video that I watched today, and I want you guys to share. And by the way, Harry, you can also chime in on that, because I think it was very, very interesting when I watched that video. All right, so let me bring that up. So let me find that very quickly. All right, so let me search that. All right, so this actually is a video that came out 1 week ago. So let me see if I can play this very quickly. And this basically goes over how there's a specific technical traders. All right, so let me play that again. I'll put this over here. All right, so let me know if you guys can hear this without any issues, all right? I would need to hold on one second, because I just recently updated my whole system. So it's audio. So desktop audio. I need to change this to my headphones.
We had basically Bitcoin falling by 20 to 25%. Stocks have been topping. Gold has done quite well. We'll be touching on all these asset classes today.
So how about now? Did you guys hear that? Let me know if you guys can hear that. Working. All right, perfect. So let's listen on this. It's a pretty long video. I don't want to play it like all the way across, but I'll be playing some segments of it, which is very interesting. All right.
Let's start with Bitcoin. I'm looking at my screen right now. It's up 14%. It's back up above $40,000. It retraced 30,000 yesterday. It's back up. Is this a dead cat bounce, Chris?
At this point, I think it is a dead cat bounce. Now, there's such a big drop in Bitcoin that this could be a pretty big dead cat bounce. But overall, I mean, when we look at the price action, how Bitcoin's moved, where it is within an overall kind of stock market or asset cycle, I do think it's going to be out of favor for quite a while. We might actually see it be dormant for a year or two from this point going forward. So I think there's upside potential still, maybe get back up to that 50,000 mark from where we are. But overall, it's I think the wind's been taken out of the sails, and it's going to be quite a battle from this point forward.
Okay, let's elaborate more on Bitcoin. I know you've got some thematic charts you've prepared for us to elaborate more on this. Let's take a look.
Sure. So let's take a look at this. So there's an overall stock market cycle, and this is kind of on the left here. This is kind of the investor kind of belief system, how they feel as the stock market goes through like a bull market, a euphoric kind of everyone piling in, everyone's a genius, everybody's rich, and then it has some big collapse. And then we go into this complacency rally, which is really just a bear flag. And then it starts a new downtrend and falls out of favor for a long period of time. And I feel as though this is where Bitcoin is. It's also where some other stocks are, like Tesla is forming the same type of pattern. And what's really interesting is when you start a new bull market, you get these explosive rallies, pauses, and continuation moves when you start a new major uptrend. Well, the same happens when you start a new major downtrend. You get massive collapses in price, and then you get a dead cat bounce, a denial or anxiety kind of bounce of play. And then, of course, it continues lower in that new downtrend. Now, for example, if we were to flip back to Bitcoin here and look at this price action where it's gone completely parabolic, if we zoom in here, you can see how it's gone into this strong uptrend where it was kind of a circular saw blade, a rally, pullback. Eventually, we had this first initial big crack, and it broke a couple critical support levels on the chart. You and I have mentioned this before. And then it went into this kind of bear flag, this complacency move. And the last time you and I talked a few weeks ago, I said, this is a very, very neutral to bearish sign. This has a good tendency that it could play to the downside. If it drops, it could go to 30,000 because it's going to be the start of a new major downtrend. And of course, it came all the way down to 30,000 on that news from Asia, China creating that kind of limiting who can get into cryptocurrencies, create this wave of selling. And now we're in this big drop, and we're in this kind of denial, kind of dead cat bounce type of play, which could linger on for a while, but eventually it is pointing to, a big sideways consolidation or another big drop. So that's where Bitcoin is. Tesla's actually got a very similar chart. It's on the verge of breaking down for a new leg as well, which is a bearish sign for the.
So that's what I want to show you guys. This is a 21-minute video. I'll put a link down in the description below. It was very interesting. I was watching it today. They're 100% cash, and they're saying not only Bitcoin, but Tesla is also forming a very similar pattern. So very interesting. I mean, I like to look at the other point of view as well, like keep a very balanced overview. I know that Tesla has had, it's give and take with love and hate relationship with the stock market and with investors in general, but a very interesting analysis and how he formed out that whole stock market chart and the cycles. He basically sees the S&P 500 also coming down. But one of the questions that was asked to him is that why aren't you going short? He basically says that there's the in a bull market, the pullbacks may not lead to a full-blown crash, so to speak. So we may see it's like a correction or a pullback, but that may not lead to like a complete crash, so to speak, which I agree with. Well, you know, S&P, Nasdaq, if they do come down, maybe a 8 to 10% correction, but my strong opinion with the revenues and the earnings that we're seeing from these companies, it's not going to be a crash in my opinion. So NIO up over 6.8%, still waiting for that 42-hour breakout, right? So we're still a little bit shy of $42 per share here for 6.89%. This right here, we did get a breakdown below the symmetrical triangle. We got that bounce off that 50 EMA at close to $40.34. And right now we're pushing higher. So the next resistance to watch is going to be high over here at 4150, pretty much the high of days, like going to be the next resistance. So Ray says technical analysis on Tesla is not reliable alone. The stock has been suppressed by fake news, accidents, brilliant factory delays, investigations. I could not agree with you more, because when he talks about Bitcoin's sell-off that we've seen, you know, the fact that the biggest catalyst was China and them basically reiterating from 2017. It was already known, and they just reiterated the fact. That's what led to a potential sell-off. In my opinion, that was very aggressive and very violent. Like, it was more margin driven, it was more debt level driven, as opposed to actual panic selling because of what China announced. That led to like the initial drop, and then the further we saw because of the acceleration that we saw because of the margin that was in the system. And of course, with cryptos not being regulated, you know, it's more challenging to basically understand how much leverage these brokerages are giving out, how much people are actually using. But 36,000 is the near-term support, of course, and all the way as low as 30,000. Ethereum still hovering around 2,700. This right here is going to be the 4-hour chart. You know, we're just hovering right above $2,600. So that right there is going to be the resistance, support at 2,100, all the way as low as 1,875. And we're just going sideways, right? There hasn't been much movement. All right, so NIO's breaking out over 4130. Let's see if we can actually break out over high of days for NIO. So super exciting. Let's see if we can actually break out over $41.50 as the high for the day. We're almost there. We're like 10 cents away from that high. This has been quite a recovery for NIO, honestly. Like, once the stock actually has pulled back from highs of 41.50 down about 2.89%, this has been a much rather stronger recovery for NIO. So, all right, next up, let's take a look at the VIX. Let's take a look at the broader markets here very quickly. So the QQQs have actually pushed up a little bit. We're down only 18 basis points, and the SPY is down about up over 13 basis points, and Dow Jones is up over 35 basis points as well. Let's take a look at. Yes, Vishal, I'm surprised too. Does low volume concern you? Low volume for what, DJ? For what specific stock or index are you talking about? So we can break that down. Yes, NIO definitely holding up. It's quite surprising, you know, and we're almost getting rejected at that same resistance on the 1-minute chart. So you'll notice that we are literally, I'll actually dim this so we can get a good understanding. I'll bring that up back once we have to, but that's the resistance on the day at 41.50. We are getting rejected almost exactly at this level. And AMC is up over 13% right now, still under $30 a share. Twitter is down a little bit over 2.3%, so $58 was the high for the day. We're definitely seeing that pullback. Let's take a look at Square. So Square coming down to 220, high for the day 227. This has been quite a sell-off for Square too, right? Just over 3.6% intraday. Enphase Energy is down. Let's take a look at our EV sector and how are they doing. So our EVs are going to be over here. So they're actually doing rather well. We got XPeng up almost 7% too. BYD, Li Auto, Lordstown Motors. I think everything is doing well except for Tesla, which is like the leader, flat on the day. We got Workhorse and Hyliion that are slightly down as well. So, all right, let's take a look at XPeng here very quickly. But yeah, NIO is fighting that resistance right at 41.50 intraday. Let's see if we can get that breakout. But look at XPeng. So much volume also, not volume, but like a lot of buying pressure came in. Like we were just making these lower highs and lower lows intraday. And then we just broke out to the upside. XPeng actually did make high of days as opposed to NIO that's still fighting at 4150 levels. But let's take a look at the daily chart here for XPeng. And this was the complete analysis as well. We're seeing that push higher to over $37, a breakout over the 50 EMA, the 21 EMA. We're seeing that follow through from XPeng from previous breakouts. So this has been, and again, after the earnings, this has been a rally of close to over 48, 49%, very similarly auto that's jumped over 52%, and 37.45 is going to be the target next. That's the resistance, previous highs that we have gone rejected at. I think they also reported their deliveries. There we go. This is what I'm missing right now on XPeng. So XPeng has made deliveries rise 483% from a year ago. So delivered 5,686 vehicles in May. 483% increase from the same time last year, and 10% rise from April. That's interesting because NIO actually dropped 5.5% in the month of April, since the month of April, and XPeng actually went up 10% month over month. May deliveries consist of 3,797 units of P7 Sports Smart Sedan and 1,800 units, just about 1,890 units of the G3 Smart Compact Sports Utility Vehicle. And year-to-date deliveries reached 24,173. Doesn't go over what their future guidance is for the second quarter, but still 483% jump is nothing small. The Li Auto also report the Li Auto usually does report a little bit later, right, for the delivery numbers, because I do remember they never reported on the same time. Like NIO was always good on reporting the first, and then XPeng kind of followed, and Li Auto has been always been a little bit behind in terms of the delivery numbers. So there we go. We're seeing that rejection right at the high of day for NIO stock. Buying Apple under 125. I think we're already there. We should be there for Apple at 124. There we go. So we're trading under 125 for Apple. Let's bring up Tesla on here too. So Tesla still struggling at $630, and we're pretty much flat on the day with. What did you guys think about the Ford Lightning F-150? Is it a good competition to Cybertruck or any of Tesla's vehicles? Because it's one of the most popular, vehicles in the United States that's ever been sold. Right? Ford is kind of like a big legacy brand that's been selling the F-150 for a really long time. But I watched this video from MKBHD. Like, he actually broke it down. He did a complete review on it. The utility on that truck is actually very, very good. I liked how many different power outlets it has. Like, I like how, of course, the front is also a like a back is, what do you call it, trunk, right? So front is also a trunk, and a back is also a trunk. No, it's not better. Like it. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I like it. I like the utility. Even though I want Tesla to succeed in this space, and of course I'm invested in Tesla and I'm bullish on it for the long term. Can't ignore the fact that Ford has created a product that's really good, right? And again, the utility, the use case is very, very good for Ford. And I actually, coming from construction industry, I could relate to the exact idea that a lot of people actually work out of their trucks. So the fact that they can fold their middle sort of gearbox, and you can turn that into like a laptop station or something that you can put something down and work out of there, is so relatable, and it's gonna have such a use case, in the construction industry, landscaping, wherever you're working out of. So I think that is gonna be huge, because when you have these construction companies, like the one that I worked for, we had a partnership with Ford, so our entire fleet was Ford. So, having a use case like that really drives like those bigger orders when you're working with a lot of these landscaping companies, pavement companies, asphalt, like all these different companies. That drives like a lot of bigger orders when they're buying trucks for their entire fleet, right? So I think that's something that Tesla needs to be aware of from a utility standpoint, from a use case standpoint, and how Ford is out there. It's definitely going to get a lot of traction. I mean, I think I saw like the Twitter tweet from the CEO and how it has like so many pre-orders already from that F-150 Lightning. All right, so Roy says it looks nice, but Ford is over $1 billion in debt. I'm not sure exactly about their debt levels. I know it's not exactly their debt levels. They've cut like a different type of financing, so their balance sheet is not bogged down with a lot of debt. It's a different type of financing that they do. Forgot the name for it, but it's a very smart way to finance their operations, especially in the automotive space that they've taken advantage of. So there we go. QQQ is down about 0.5%, with SPY down about 7 basis points now, and Dow Jones is only up 22 basis points. All right, let me read the live chat here. So Lightning is way better. Ford will be history once people see Cybertrucks on road. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two sides to every story. There's people's preferences. All right, so let's take a look. Inflation beware. High interest rate beware. Yes, there's a lot of that going to happen like in the month of June. So what happened to the markets just now? We were up quite a bit a few hours ago. Imran, that's a great question. I think it's just again resurfacing. Let me see if I can pull up Bloomberg TV. And I do apologize, you guys. I mean, I wasn't planning on going live today, so I did set up like a new station. Like I have a new OBS studio and everything. So nothing's been set up yet. So I need to basically create that live TV Bloomberg split screen where you can have that on picture in picture. I won't be able to do this while I'm doing my live stream right now, but definitely, I mean, over the week, like over the next couple of days and going into next week, there's going to be a lot of live streams, most certainly. All right, let me see if I can actually bring that up. I might be able to. Just give me 1 second while I try to do this. All right, so we're just going to do that. All right, so are you guys able to see that? Are you guys able to see that Bloomberg screen on there? You guys should be able to. Yes. All right, perfect. Perfect. That's great. So, all right. All right, so we'll tune that back in once we have that, if there's anything going on. But yes, the market's pulling back. QQQ is down about 60 basis points now. NIO is still up there. We're still up there. We're up over 7% with Tesla now in the red, down about 27 basis points. Let's take a look at AMC. We're up 11%, still doing well. So, all right, yeah, they're talking about Nestle right now on Bloomberg, so I don't want to tune that in. But, all right, what other stocks are we gonna look at? Is NIO going to drop today? That's a great question. That's a great question, and I don't think it's gonna drop to a point where it's gonna go red or anything, but we're almost looking like we're gonna break out over that 4150 level, you guys. That's the high for the day. Right, that's the high for the day. We're almost there. We're like 3 cents away from 41.50 for NIO. So, let's see if we can actually do break out over that high of day. We're like 2 cents away, and the next stop is going to be $42. We're going to see if we can actually get up to that level, but. All right, so let's take a look at the VXN, up over 6%. Let's take a look at the VIX. it's up over almost 9%. There you go. It's 9.66%. That was a breakdown. And again, June 15th, for everybody who's tuning in now, June 15th is kind of like the level that I would watch, the date that I would watch, after which there's going to be more clarity and more visibility for the markets. So if it breaks over high of day, we could get to 42.90s. Yeah, I mean, the volume needs to kick in. I mean, with lunch right around the corner in New York, in about an hour or so, the volume does tend to die down. So there we go. We just made a new high of day at 41.58, 41.60. So the volume needs to kind of follow through with the high of day breakout for NIO for us to really push us to past like $42 per share. But yeah, I'll tune into Bloomberg here a little bit, but the green candle on the day definitely looks very bullish. Breaking out over the 21 EMA, the 50, and the 200 SMA as well. So we are seeing a successful breakout and a potential trend reversal, right? That's the resistance on the day. But yeah, we did see the recovery was something that was really surprising to me for NIO, because a jump of over 3% after selling off in the morning is very, very strong for NIO's price action. It's like NIO and ASC are kind of converging on the day. Varun, what's up? Happy to have you on board. Dow Jones getting weaker. Let's take a look. So NASDAQ is down a little bit over 63 basis points. We got the SPY. Actually, let me bring up the VIX indices as well. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 3 at the bottom and 2 at the top, so we can have the VIX while we have the other ones. So, all right. You know what? Let's just do this one. We're gonna put VIX over here. NIO breaking out over 41.72. So VIX, yep, is up a little bit over 8.7%, and that's the. So Churchill Capital, I haven't been following that stock, Roy. Fundamentally, I can't speak to the valuation or the core business and what that looks like in terms of deliveries. But technically speaking, we did see some type of a breakdown through several levels. I mean, let's just observe NIO for a second here. An 8% move is not small. A lot of volume, like almost at the average 10-day volume here for NIO. And I'm kind of curious to really know why, because in my morning's video, we talked about how a 5.5% drop month over month, and then 6,700 was not like great. It's weird how NIO's always rallied on like not so great news, and then once huge catalysts come out, great news comes out, and NIO stock actually rolls over and sells off. But definitely seeing that high of day breakout here, almost at $42. I'm going to give it to like another 15-20 minutes. If we break out over $42, this live stream will keep going beyond the close. So, all right. Forming a descending triangle, yes, on what time frame? All right, so now we can actually bring up Bloomberg Markets as well. Let's see what they have to talk about.
Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Bloomberg Markets, the European close. Here's everything you need to know from Europe at this hour. Feeling hot, hot, hot. EU inflation rising to 2% as supply chain issues hit manufacturers, curb output, and push prices higher. And a really good summer. German Health Minister Jens Spahn cuts the virus risk level to high from very high, but sounds positive about the next 3 months, while the EU reportedly plans to lift all quarantine requirements starting in July. And the market melt up. Stocks flying, European equities hitting records, sterling briefly hitting a 3-year high, money rotating into Europe. along with some optimism. So let's get a check-in, though, on your markets here when it comes to Europe. So we're definitely off the highs. I should say that. You get the disappointing ISM out of the U.S. And I say disappointing because you're looking at the employment as well as the lead times for suppliers. And that was really kind of the disappointing part of the ISM. That weighed on the U.S. equity market. That weighed somewhat on the European equity market as well. However, European stocks still up by 0.8%. It was a record high, but we're off that level. Now you also have the French equities are at the highest level since 2000. Really interesting. We'll talk about this throughout the show, kind of whippy action in the sterling rate. So if you just take a look at cable, we're now down by 0.3%, but that doesn't really show what we saw earlier. We saw sterling hit a 3-year high, then fell off the back as the dollar started to rise against the in the cable rate, and that kind of had a reversal also with the FTSE 100 starting then to outperform. We'll break that down in some of the why, what's leading a sterling. Isn't that narrative of reopening and vaccinations already priced in? Now, in addition to that surprise PMI, you also got a surprise growth for Italy in the first quarter. We'll break that down in just a second. So I want to take a look at BTP's 90 basis points is where we sit on the 10-year, and wrapping it all into the OPEC story as well, because that's going to really help the miners and the oil market in Europe as well. A lot of those equity markets quite exposed to the raw material story. Well, Brent up a solid almost 3% on the OPEC news that we will continue to pump oil in July, 840,000 barrels of oil a day. But strong demand, strong reopening, vaccination, etc. All of that percolating over in Europe as well. And now Taylor Riggs is here with the U.S. market.
Watch the seamless transition we're going to make, Alex, as you exit on energy. And that's exactly where we're going in the U.S. The IMAP function, at least, energy, the best performer on the day. You're up 40% on the year. How much of that, of course, is due to sort of this risk on tone? And that sort of filters in to Canada as well. Their index at one point briefly crossed the 20,000 mark. More of a mental level, of course, here than anything.
All right, we'll kind of circle back to that in a minute or two, because talking about energy, we know energy has been rallying, leading S&P 500. Demand strong, that was new. So demand for oil is also strong in the United States. We're going to get more details on it tomorrow when they actually get the API crude oil stock report. And then mortgages, of course, are going to be reported tomorrow as well. But two big reports this week I want you guys to follow along with is going to be Thursday and Friday. We got crude oil inventories, ADP non-farm payrolls. Jerome Powell is also speaking. And the unemployment rate. So, all right, so NIO 4150 is going to be the level. Let's see if we can actually close above that level for the day. And let's talk about Palantir here for a second. So I'm going to zoom out on this one, go over to Palantir. So we formed that gravestone candle last week, right? That was a level. Because if you guys remember correctly from our previous analysis, gravestone basically suggests that it happens usually at the end of an uptrend. That basically means that we had a lot of buying pressure to push us all the way to highs of $24.75, and that was a jump of over 9% for Palantir. And then the sellers stepped in to push us back down to basically closing at $23 per share. So that's a lot of selling pressure there. That's why, in my opinion, we could see some more consolidation. What I expect from Palantir moving forward is more of a range-bound trading, where, right now we're testing that 50 EMA at close to 22.36. That was a low for the day, and 50 EMA is sitting at 22.37. So we're almost tagging that resistance here. Hold on one second. So that's the support that we're tagging right here for Palantir. So that's going to be the level to watch. But if you do see any type of a pullback, I wouldn't be surprised if you do see like a $21 reprint here. We'll go back to 24, kind of be range bound in between these levels for some time until like the next set of catalysts and the earnings that we see in the future from Palantir. All right, so that's gonna be Palantir. It's gonna be more of a consolidation in my opinion moving forward. So NIO, let's see if we can actually hold up over $41.50. We are certainly seeing a bit of a pullback here. And this is going to be the SPY down about 9 basis points. The NASDAQ continues to make low of days, down almost 70 basis points here. We were trading as low as 331, and the Dow Jones is basically trading sideways with the VIX jumping a little bit. Maxim AMD, we covered AMD in earlier. We actually covered AMD in one of our previous videos and earlier on the live stream. So please feel free to kind of go back and watch that as well. But they recently closed a new customer, Tesla and Samsung, and they are introducing new products into the ecosystem. So which is why they are up a little bit over 2%. Let's see if they're still up. They're up over 1% right now. We're seeing that pullback across the board. AMC is up over 13%. GME is up over 5.87. NIO is up over 6.8% as well. And a lot of stocks have actually turned red. So you'll notice a lot of stocks have basically turned with the weakness that we've seen with the NASDAQ. So let's take a look at some of the other stocks here. So, all right, so CCIV is up over 4.5%, so that's good. Lordstown, Beam, but like Fubo is down, MP Materials is down, Nano Dimensions, Rocket Mortgages, Workhorse, we got Plug Power, Skills, BNGO, but they're not down substantially, right? They're only down, like BNGO is the most down, it's over 4%, and CCIV is up over 4%, so we're seeing that plus minus 4% drawdown to upside for these some of these hyper growth stocks, so to speak. So NIO once again validating that 50 EMA, the yellow line you see on the chart, and coming back down below 41.50. The high for the day 41.81. The volume may die down a little bit in about an hour as we kind of head into this this technical the lunch break. So Fauzi says, just discovered this channel through a recent NIO video. Do you only study companies from a technical perspective? We don't. We study them from both fundamental and technical perspective, and we also cover the macros, which basically goes over the U.S. economy in terms of the labor market, interest rates, inflation, and everything in between. So we try to cover as much as possible, as frequently as possible. So that's kind of like the whole holistic overview on the markets and specific stocks as well. Awesome Gamer, that's a great question. Like Vishal says, if only we all knew that answer. But you know, the interesting thing is that as we see those opportunities present themselves in the markets, the swing trading ideas will be posted on our Patreon, and these are going to be mostly asymmetric bets, right? These are going to be trades that you can actually take by risking very little, where there is going to be significant upside. And again, to give you guys a very simple example, is going to be our Alibaba call that we made last Friday. This right here was a complete technical breakdown. Of course, the pattern didn't hold up because we did hit that resistance and we are seeing that sell-off. But this right here was the trade setup from last week. We had an entry at $212.50, stop loss below 210. That's a 1% drawdown, 1% downside. The target price was at 225, and pre-market we hit $225.40. At the open, we were even as high as $223. And as soon as that resistance got hit, we're seeing that pullback from Alibaba, right? So that right there was a trade with a 6% upside and a 1% downside for Alibaba stock. We also traded Mara, that's going to be ticker symbol MARA, over the last week as well. This right here was a complete breakdown from Mara stock. The entry was at $22.50 that we broke down. We had a stop loss below $21 with a downside of 7%. So this was a more of a riskier trade, so to speak, as opposed to Alibaba. It really depends on what kind of an investor or trader you are. If you're looking for more aggressive opportunities, we actually did end up making 20% on this trade because it did hit our target of close to $27 per share. So this right here was the entire move, and right now we are seeing that pullback back down to that support of $24 per share. So this previous resistance you guys see over here, so previous resistance at 24 levels here, that's the red line, is now starting to act as a back-tested support for Mara. So this could also represent an opportunity to go long to see a breakout over $27 as it continues to validate those moving averages, the 21 and the 50 EMA as well. And of course, you have to do some external analysis on Bitcoin as well, because Mara trades off of Bitcoin's price, and if Bitcoin trades higher, then we can see Mara also push higher. So what do you think about Buffett selling all the shares when he buys during these days? Actually seems bearish to me. What do you mean? Is there any news that he sold his shares? So what do you think about Buffett selling all his shares when he buys during these days? I don't understand exactly what that means. So head and shoulders pattern on the QQQs. Let's take a look. Google, yeah, Google's been on a tear. It's up over 32% year to date. So definitely, you know, it has pushed up quite a bit. But we've analyzed Google as well. I do think that Google is probably going to, you know, stagnate a little bit, basically trade sideways, because it has moved up quite a bit, unless we see like the NASDAQ come down aggressively as well. Look at SPY trading almost exactly at 420 here. And QQQ is at 332. We're seeing that VIX kind of come down a little bit. We were up over 9%, but we're only up over 7%. All right, so yes, news. So I mean, he usually buys fear, but he's selling it. That's interesting. I would have to do some more research to really go over how much he's been selling and what he's been selling, to kind of share my thoughts on that and the timing of these. Also, like the annual reports that we share, or like the 13F filings, they're not very recent. They're not like it's happening literally like yesterday or a couple days ago. They're reported as of their own fiscal calendar, right? So if it's according to first quarter, it could be as of March 31st, 2021. So to give you guys a very simple example, is that you can actually go over to this website called fintel.io. So we're gonna go over to that, and I'll show you guys, because I was like researching this over the weekend. You can go over to this website, fintel.io. You can type in the stock. Let's type in NIO. All right. So we're gonna click on this, and we're gonna come over to like institutional ownership. We can come over to this. I'll have to find it exactly where I saw it, but so institutional ownership, then you can come down to basically looking at the file date. So, all right, let me see if I can, because there was a way to actually do that. Filings. Yeah, I need to find that, because I was looking at it over the weekend to really understand, you know, how many people are actually buying. So I was able to sort the file date, but nonetheless, like if you click on here, on this button, which basically, all right, there we go. So all right, now we have it. So earlier I wasn't able to basically sort the file date, but now you do. So you'll notice that this was actually reported May 28th, and you can click on here, and that will take you to this, basically going over how Crane Shares MSCI All China Index ETF reports 129.88% increase in ownership of NIO. So you'll notice that an NPORT file, so NPORT is different from a 13F filing. A 13F filing is required by actual fund managers, money managers. NPORT is more so towards exchange traded funds that are actually traded. So you'll notice disclosing ownership of about 12,570 vehicles of NIO with a total holdings of about 489,000 as of March 31st. And disclosing, then earlier they actually disclosed 5,468 shares. So they actually increased their holdings in NIO, right? So you can go over to all these different lists, and you know, all these release dates, May 28, May 28, May 28, May 28. And we had a lot of different buys and sells for NIO as well. So you can actually go over all these and get a good understanding of how many people are, how many investors are buying or selling, so to speak. All right, so NIO, again, getting rejected at 41.50. We did see some type of a push higher, but we are pulling back once again. But we are seeing AMC with a push higher over $30 per share once again. Let's take a look at the QQQs. We are down roughly 0.5%, and The Dow Jones down about 30 basis points. Or Dow Jones is up about 30 basis points, my bad. And SPY is pretty much flat on the day. All right, guys, so I'm actually going to end the live stream here. I really appreciate you guys' support. Next couple weeks, this week going into next week is going to be super important. I will be live streaming longer than today because there's going to be a lot of macroeconomic stuff coming out. So thank you so much for your guys' time. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed this live stream. The NIO pushing higher, up over 7%. $41 and $41.50. Two support levels I would watch very closely. And yes, I'll also break down a lot of different stocks. Definitely, if you guys tune in tomorrow and later this week as well, we'll break down a lot of stocks. Also, don't forget the first of the month is here. So if you guys want to get access to all these trade opportunities, swing trades, and a lot of the research, private Discord chat, and our private live streams, the Patreon link is also going to be down in the description below. So thank you so much, folks, for joining in. I really hope that you guys have a great day. Finish the day on a strong green note, and I will see you guys tomorrow, nice and early, for our live stream for macroeconomics. That's going to be the topic for this week. All right, have a great day. I'll see you guys. Peace.